This is one of those moments where small details reveal everything you need to know. In this video, we're breaking down the subtle signs she wants you to notice her. The quiet signals, the body language, and the little behaviors most people overlook, but that speak volumes if you know what to look for. These aren't obvious moves. They're intentional, subtle, and easy to miss. But once you see them, you can't unsee them. Let's dive in. I'm Mary Smith, and welcome to Mindful Senior Living, where we explore human behavior, emotional intelligence, and the deeper psychology behind relationships in a way that actually makes sense in real life. Because here's the truth, most people never say out loud. Attraction rarely begins with bold statements or dramatic gestures. It begins quietly, almost invisibly, in moments so small that if you're not paying attention, you'll miss them completely. And I want you to think about this for a second. How many times have you walked away from an interaction, wondering if there was something more there? Something you couldn't quite explain. But you felt it. That subtle shift in energy. That moment that lingered just a little too long. If you've ever questioned whether someone was trying to get your attention without saying it directly, then this conversation is for you. Because once you understand these patterns, you don't just notice them. You understand what they mean, and more importantly, what to do with them. Let's start with something that seems almost insignificant at first, but carries a surprising amount of intention behind it. The moment where she acts like she didn't see you, and then suddenly she does. You've probably experienced this without realizing it. She walks past you, completely absorbed in her own world, not even a glance in your direction. And then, almost as if something clicks, she looks up, notices you, and reacts. Maybe it's a soft, "oh hey," a slight smile, or a subtle change in her expression. Now here's where it gets interesting. This isn't about her actually missing you. It's about timing. In psychology, this connects to something called impression management, where a person carefully controls how and when they're perceived. By creating that tiny delay, she turns an ordinary moment into something that stands out. Instead of blending into the background, that interaction becomes memorable. It creates a spark, a pause, something your mind holds on to. I once worked with a client in her late 50s who described doing this without even realizing it. She told me, "I didn't want to seem too eager, but I also didn't want to go unnoticed." That balance between visibility and subtlety is where so much of human attraction lives. It's not about being obvious. It's about being felt. And here's something I want you to reflect on. When that happens, when someone suddenly notices you after a pause, how does it make you feel? Slightly curious? Maybe even a little intrigued. That's not accidental. That's emotional timing at work. Now let's move into something even quieter, but often more revealing. The quick glances she throws when she thinks you're not looking. These are some of the most honest signals because they happen when she believes there's no pressure to hide or perform. Picture this. You're in a meeting, or maybe sitting across a room. She looks up for just a second, checks what you're doing, and then immediately looks away the moment you turn your head. It's fast, almost like it didn't happen, but then it happens again and again. These glances are rarely random. They come from curiosity, interest, and sometimes even a quiet attraction she hasn't fully processed herself. In group settings, you might notice her attention drifting back to you even when others are speaking. It's subtle, but consistent. From a psychological perspective, this ties into attentional bias. When we're drawn to someone, our brain naturally prioritizes them in our environment. Even when we try not to look, we look. I remember a story from a gentleman who once told me, "I kept catching her looking at me, but every time I looked back, she'd turn away so quickly I thought I imagined it." And I asked him, "How many times did it happen?" He paused and said, "Too many to be a coincidence." Exactly. And that's the key. Patterns matter more than moments. One glance could mean nothing, but repeated glances? That's where meaning begins to form. Now, as her awareness of you grows, something else begins to shift. Her movements become a little more controlled, a little more intentional. This is where behavior starts to align with internal awareness. She's no longer just existing in the space. You're part of her awareness within it. You might notice she stands a little straighter when you're nearby. Her movements slow down slightly. She becomes more composed, more deliberate. Maybe she adjusts her hair, smooths her clothes, or subtly checks her appearance. These aren't dramatic actions. They're small, almost subconscious adjustments that signal increased self-awareness. And this is deeply rooted in psychology. When we become aware of someone we're drawn to, our brain activates self-monitoring behavior. We begin to regulate how we present ourselves, not in a forced way, but in a way that aligns with how we want to be perceived. There was a woman I once spoke to who said, "I didn't even realize I was doing it until my friend pointed it out. Every time he walked into the room, I'd fix my posture." That's the thing about these behaviors. They often happen beneath conscious awareness. Now, let's talk about something many people notice, but often underestimate. The subtle upgrade in how she presents herself when she knows you'll be around. And I want you to be very clear here. This isn't about dramatic changes. It's not about suddenly dressing completely differently. It's about refinement. Her outfit looks a little more put together. Her hair is styled with just a bit more intention. There's an extra level of care that wasn't there before. It's not loud, but it's noticeable if you pay attention. This connects to mate attraction signaling, a concept where individuals naturally enhance their appearance around someone they're interested in. It's not about trying too hard. It's about presenting the best version of oneself. And here's something worth asking yourself. Have you ever noticed someone looking just a little more polished on the days they interact with you? Not dramatically different, just better put together? That's rarely accidental. Now, as interactions begin to build, something very telling starts to happen during goodbyes. She lingers, just a little longer than necessary, and this is one of the most emotionally revealing signs because it happens at the moment of separation. Instead of ending the interaction quickly, she stretches it. Maybe she asks one more question, makes one more comment, or delays leaving by a few seconds. It's subtle but meaningful. Because when someone enjoys your presence, they're not in a hurry to leave it. I remember a man telling me about a colleague who would always say goodbye, then pause, then say something else before finally leaving. He laughed and said, "It was like she kept finding reasons to stay." And that's exactly what it was. That small delay is emotional resistance to ending the moment. And here's something I want you to consider. When someone lingers, what are they really saying without words? They're saying, "I'm not ready for this to end." If this is resonating with you so far, take a moment to like the video and let me know in the comments. Have you ever noticed these small behaviors before? Or maybe you're starting to recognize them now in a completely new way. Because we're just getting started, and what comes next will deepen your understanding even further. There's something fascinating that begins to happen once these small moments start to build on each other. It's no longer just about isolated behaviors. It becomes a shift in energy, in presence, in the way someone expresses themselves without ever saying a word. And one of the clearest ways this shows up is through something as simple and as revealing as her laughter. You might not notice it right away. In fact, most people don't. But when a woman is drawn to you, her laughter doesn't just happen, it expands. It becomes a little louder, a little longer, a little more expressive when you're around. It's not forced and it's not fake, it's amplified. Think about a moment where you said something that wasn't particularly funny, yet she laughed like it genuinely entertained her. Not in an exaggerated or obvious way, but in a way that felt warm, engaged, present. That's not about the joke. That's about you. From a psychological perspective, this connects to emotional contagion and social bonding. When we feel comfortable or attracted to someone, our emotional responses become more open, more expressive. Laughter, in particular, becomes a bridge. It creates connection without requiring vulnerability in words. I remember a story from a client who once said, "I started noticing that she laughed at things no one else reacted to. And it wasn't awkward. It felt like she just enjoyed being part of whatever I was saying." That's the key. It's not about impressing you. It's about enjoying you. And here's something subtle but important. Pay attention to how her laughter carries. Does it linger just a second longer? Does she look at you while laughing, even if others are around? That eye contact during laughter is incredibly telling. It's a silent way of sharing the moment with you specifically. Now, as this energy builds, you'll start to notice something else. Her presence in a group setting begins to shift in a very intentional, yet understated way. She starts finding ways to stand out, not dramatically, not in a way that demands attention from everyone, but just enough that you notice her. You walk into a room, and without saying anything, she adjusts slightly. Maybe she sits up straighter. Maybe she shifts her position so she's within your line of sight. These are micro adjustments, but they're meaningful. In psychology, this relates to visibility behavior, the subtle ways people increase their chances of being noticed by someone they're interested in. It's not about being the center of attention, it's about being in your attention. You might notice she speaks a little more when you're nearby, even if she's usually quiet. Or when she does speak, there's a slight lift in her tone, a bit more energy in her voice. It's not performative, it's responsive. Your presence is influencing her behavior. I once observed this dynamic in a social gathering where a woman who was generally reserved suddenly became more animated whenever a particular man joined the conversation. She didn't dominate the space, but she made sure she was part of it. That distinction matters. And here's something I want you to think about. When someone subtly adjusts themselves to be seen by you, what does that say about their awareness of you? It means you're not just part of the environment, you're part of their focus. Now, let's go even deeper into something that's incredibly easy to miss, but once you see it, it becomes unmistakable. The way she creates opportunities to interact with you without directly approaching you. This is where indirect communication comes into play. Instead of walking up and starting a conversation, she positions herself around you. She joins conversations you're already part of. She speaks to people near you, fully aware that you can hear her. It feels casual on the surface, but there's intention behind it. She might bring up topics she knows you're interested in, or say something just loud enough to invite your attention without asking for it. It's a low-risk way of opening a door. She's not forcing interaction, she's allowing it. And this is deeply rooted in human psychology. Indirect communication allows someone to express interest while maintaining emotional safety. It reduces the risk of rejection while still creating connection. I remember someone once describing this perfectly. He said, "It felt like she was talking to everyone, but somehow it felt like she was talking to me." That's not coincidence. That's design. And here's where many people get it wrong. They either completely miss these signals or they overthink them to the point where they become paralyzed. The truth is, awareness is your greatest advantage, but only if you stay grounded in it. Because none of these signs, on their own, guarantee anything, but together they form a pattern, and patterns are where truth lives. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a situation where someone kept appearing around you, kept engaging indirectly, kept creating these small openings, and you weren't sure if it meant something? That uncertainty is exactly where these signals operate. They live in the space between obvious and invisible. And that's why emotional intelligence matters so much here. It's not just about noticing what's happening, it's about understanding the intention behind it without rushing to conclusions. Now, as you begin to recognize these behaviors, there's an important shift that needs to happen within you as well, because noticing is only one part of the equation. Responding calmly, confidently, and appropriately is what creates connection. And this is where many people unintentionally disrupt the dynamic. They either ignore the signals completely, or they respond too intensely, too quickly. Both can break the subtle rhythm that's being created. Instead, think of it like a conversation that hasn't been spoken yet. She's expressing interest in a low-pressure way. Your role is to meet that energy, not overwhelm it. If she glances, you don't stare. You acknowledge. If she lingers, you don't rush. You stay present. If she creates an opening, you step into it naturally, without forcing anything. This is what emotional alignment looks like. It's not about chasing or pulling away, it's about matching the moment. And I want to give you something practical here, something you can actually use. The next time you notice one of these subtle signs, pause for just a second. Don't react immediately. Just observe. Let the moment breathe, then respond in a way that feels calm and grounded. Because confidence isn't loud, it's steady. And as you begin to operate from that place, something powerful happens. The interaction starts to feel effortless, natural, mutual. Now here's where things get even more interesting, because as subtle attraction continues to build, it doesn't stay subtle forever. It evolves, it deepens, and the signals become slightly more consistent, slightly more intentional. But before we go there, I want you to really sit with what we've talked about so far, because most people never even reach this level of awareness. They move through interactions on autopilot, missing the very signals that could change everything. If you're starting to see things differently already, take a moment to like the video and share in the comments what stood out to you the most. Was it the glances, the laughter, the way she positions herself around you? Because the more you engage with this, the sharper your awareness becomes. And what we're about to explore next will take this understanding to an even deeper level, where subtle interest begins to turn into something far more intentional and far more revealing. And what begins to happen at this stage is something that feels almost intangible, yet deeply powerful. The energy shifts from subtle curiosity into something more emotionally invested. It's no longer just about being noticed. It's about being remembered, felt, and slowly integrated into her emotional world. You'll start to notice that her behavior becomes more consistent, not louder, not more obvious, but more reliable. And consistency is one of the strongest psychological indicators of genuine interest. Because while anyone can display a moment of curiosity, not everyone maintains a pattern of attention over time. Think about this for a moment. It's one thing for someone to glance at you once or laugh at something you say, but when those behaviors repeat, when they become part of a rhythm, that's when they begin to carry meaning. And this is where emotional familiarity begins to form. You might notice that she starts to feel more comfortable around you. Her body language softens. There's less tension in her movements. She may begin to hold eye contact just a second longer than before, not in a confrontational way, but in a way that feels steady. Eye contact, especially sustained eye contact, is one of the most intimate nonverbal signals we have. It creates a silent connection that words often can't replicate. And when someone begins to hold that gaze just a little longer, it often means they're no longer trying to hide their awareness of you. I once spoke to a man who described this shift perfectly. He said, "At first, she would look away quickly every time our eyes met, but after a while she didn't. She just held the look and smiled." That moment, where avoidance turns into openness, is incredibly significant, because it marks a transition from uncertainty to comfort. Now, alongside this, you may begin to notice something else that feels very human, very real. She starts to remember small details about you, things you didn't even think were important. Maybe you mentioned in passing that you enjoy a certain type of coffee, or that you like walking in the evenings, and days later, she brings it up casually. "Hey, have you tried that new place? I remember you said you like that kind of coffee." This is not random. From a psychological standpoint, this ties into selective memory and emotional prioritization. When someone is interested in you, your words carry more weight. They're not just heard, they're stored. And here's the deeper layer. When she brings those details back into conversation, she's not just showing that she remembers, she's showing that what you say matters to her. That's emotional investment. And if you've ever experienced this, you know how it feels. There's something incredibly validating about being remembered in that way. It creates a sense of connection that goes beyond surface-level interaction. Now, as this connection builds, her communication style may also begin to shift. It becomes slightly more personal, slightly more open. Not all at once, not in a dramatic way, but gradually. She might start sharing small pieces of her life, little stories, opinions, or experiences that she wouldn't necessarily share with just anyone. And this is where vulnerability begins to enter the space. But here's what's important to understand. Vulnerability doesn't always look like deep emotional conversations. Sometimes it looks like small disclosures, personal preferences, honest reactions, even playful teasing. Yes, teasing, because when a woman feels comfortable and interested, she may begin to engage in light, playful teasing, not to challenge you, but to create a sense of closeness. It's a way of interacting that feels more personal, more dynamic. You might notice her joking with you in a way that feels slightly different from how she interacts with others. There's a tone to it, a familiarity. And this is where many people misinterpret things. They either take it too seriously, or they miss the intention behind it. But teasing, when it's warm and playful, is often a sign of comfort and attraction. It creates a shared space, something that belongs just to the two of you. Now let's talk about proximity, because this is another area where subtle interest becomes more visible. As comfort grows, so does physical closeness, not in an obvious or forced way, but in a natural, almost effortless manner. She may start sitting closer to you in group settings, standing near you during conversations, finding reasons to be within your space. This is known in psychology as proximity-seeking behavior. When we feel drawn to someone, we naturally reduce the physical distance between us. It's instinctive. And here's something fascinating. Often this happens without conscious awareness. She's not thinking, "I'm going to stand closer to him." She just does. I remember observing this in a workshop setting where participants were free to move around the room. Over time, one woman consistently positioned herself near the same individual, regardless of where the group shifted. It wasn't planned, it was natural. That's what makes it so meaningful. Now, as all of these elements begin to come together, eye contact, memory, communication, proximity, you start to see a bigger picture, a pattern that goes beyond coincidence. But here's where I want to gently guide you, because this is important. Recognizing these signs is powerful, but interpreting them responsibly is even more important. Not every behavior guarantees intention. Context matters. Personality matters. And emotional awareness requires balance. So instead of jumping to conclusions, stay present, stay observant. Let the pattern unfold naturally. Because attraction is not a one-sided experience. It's interactive. It grows through mutual engagement. If you respond with warmth, does she open up more? If you engage in conversation, does she lean in, emotionally or physically? These responses will tell you far more than any single action ever could. When a woman begins to feel emotionally safe around you, her behavior changes in ways that are subtle but profound. She becomes more relaxed, more authentic, less guarded. When a woman begins to feel emotionally safe around you, her behavior changes in ways that are subtle but profound. She becomes more relaxed, more authentic, less guarded. You may notice her being more herself around you, not trying to impress, not trying to control every detail, just being present. And that is one of the strongest indicators of genuine connection, because attraction may begin with curiosity, but it grows through comfort. Let me ask you something. Have you ever experienced a moment where someone just seemed at ease around you? Where the interaction didn't feel forced or complicated? That ease is not accidental. It's built through small, consistent signals of trust and interest. And if you're recognizing these patterns in someone right now, I want you to approach it with patience and awareness. There's no need to rush, no need to force clarity before it naturally arrives. Because the most meaningful connections are not built in urgency. They're built in presence. If this is giving you a new perspective, take a moment to like the video and share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to know, have you ever noticed someone slowly becoming more comfortable and open around you? What did that feel like? Because what we're about to explore next brings everything together in a way that most people never fully understand. It's the moment where subtle signals, emotional patterns, and human behavior all align, and the truth becomes much harder to ignore. And when all of these patterns begin to align, something very quiet but very powerful starts to happen. The uncertainty you once felt begins to fade, and in its place, there's a growing sense of clarity. Not because she suddenly says something direct, not because there's a dramatic confession, but because her behavior becomes too consistent, too intentional to ignore. This is the stage where subtle interest transforms into emotional presence. You start to feel it, not just see it. The way she responds to you carries a certain warmth, a certain attentiveness that doesn't feel accidental anymore. Conversations feel easier, silences feel less awkward, even the smallest interactions begin to carry weight. And here's what's important to understand. Attraction, especially the kind that grows gradually, doesn't usually announce itself. It reveals itself through patterns, through repetition, through emotional alignment over time. You may begin to notice that she's more available when you're around, not in an obvious way, but in a way that feels intentional. If there's a group setting, she naturally ends up near you. If there's a conversation, she finds her way into it. If there's a moment to connect, she doesn't avoid it. This is where interest becomes participation. She's no longer just creating opportunities, she's stepping into them. And one of the most telling signs at this stage is responsiveness. The way she responds to you, your words, your presence, your energy becomes more engaged, more present. If you speak, she listens, not passively, but actively. There's eye contact, there's reaction, there's involvement. If you make a comment, she builds on it. If you share something, she acknowledges it in a way that feels genuine. This kind of responsiveness is deeply connected to emotional investment. Because when someone is truly interested, they don't just hear you, they engage with you. I remember a man once describing this shift in a way that stayed with me. He said, "It got to a point where I felt like she was really listening, not just waiting for her turn to speak." And that distinction is everything. Now, alongside this, you may also begin to notice something more subtle, but equally meaningful. She starts to mirror you. Mirroring is one of the most fascinating behaviors in human psychology. It happens when someone subconsciously reflects your body language, your tone, or even your pace of speaking. If you lean slightly forward, she might do the same. If you slow your speech, her rhythm begins to match yours. This isn't imitation. It's connection. Our brains are wired to synchronize with people we feel aligned with. It creates a sense of harmony, of being on the same wavelength. And when mirroring begins to happen naturally, it's often a strong indicator of rapport and attraction. But here's where things become even more meaningful. As emotional comfort deepens, she may begin to show small signs of protectiveness toward the connection itself. What do I mean by that? She becomes more aware of how interactions between you unfold. She may try to maintain a certain tone, a certain quality of connection. If something feels off, even slightly, she might try to correct it through a smile, a light comment, or a shift in energy. It's subtle, but it shows that the connection matters to her. And this brings us to something that many people overlook, yet it's one of the clearest signals of all. She begins to create continuity. Instead of interactions feeling random or isolated, they start to connect. One conversation leads naturally into another. One moment builds on the last. She might reference something you talked about before. She might follow up on a previous interaction. She might even create small, inside moments that only the two of you share. This is how emotional threads are formed. And once those threads exist, the connection becomes something more than just situational. It becomes personal. Let me ask you something. Have you ever experienced a connection where it felt like each interaction picked up exactly where the last one left off? Where nothing felt forced, nothing felt disconnected? That's continuity, and it's a powerful sign that something meaningful is developing. Now, at this point, it's natural to wonder, what should you do with all of this? Because awareness without action can leave you stuck in uncertainty. But action without awareness can disrupt something that's still forming. So the answer lies in balance. If you're recognizing these patterns, the most important thing you can do is respond with authenticity, not performance, not strategy, just presence. Allow the connection to grow naturally without trying to control the outcome. If she creates an opening, step into it. If she shares something, respond with genuine interest. If there's a moment of connection, don't rush past it. And most importantly, don't let fear of misreading the situation stop you from being human. Because at the end of the day, connection is not built on perfection. It's built on willingness to notice, to respond, and to be present. And here's something I want to leave you with. The signs we've talked about, these subtle glances, these small adjustments, these quiet efforts, they are not just about attraction. They're about courage. The courage to express interest without risking too much. The courage to be seen, even if only a little at a time. And when you learn to recognize that, when you learn to see the intention behind the subtlety, you begin to understand people on a much deeper level. So the next time you find yourself in one of these moments, don't rush to label it. Don't overanalyze it. Just notice it, feel it, and respond in a way that feels calm, grounded, and real. Because sometimes, the most meaningful connections don't start with words, they start with moments. If this resonated with you, take a moment to like the video, share it with someone who might need to hear this, and subscribe to Mindful Senior Living for more insights like this. And I'd love to hear from you. What's one subtle sign you've noticed that changed the way you see someone? Thank you for spending this time with me.